Hey, good evening all. How you doing? Depending on when this video gets to you. Today I just wanted to talk about something that I have observed for a long while right now. I have noticed both on the global stage and locally and even on individual levels that we are seriously having a problem with history. I don't know if any other person has have noticed any of this. Let me start with the individual level and then escalate it to the global level. Maybe somebody will connect with it or somebody will make sense of it because I'm seeing this, repeated over and over. I've seen it, repeated around me and over again, and I'm beginning to observe it like a pattern. So, have you noticed that a lot of people are seriously losing track of history, like historical event. People tend to just focus on the now. Uh, they don't try to make sense of like what has happened before. It is good not to stay, not to stay back in history or live in history, in history. But then it also makes sense that before you talk about something, before you make a decision about something, you look at the historical pattern so that you make a better or more informed decision. Even in business, before you make any investment decision, before you make any critical decision in the business, you have to look at the historical data of the business, the historical data of the company, and you have to also look at patterns in the environment. So when you do environmental scanning, you are looking at events and patterns. Some of these events have already happened. And scenario planning, this is more like on different scenarios that have happened. You're trying to extrapolate among various scenarios, some of that which have happened, and then use that to kind of make pattern. Even the AI that we use today, you know, is built on the so many years of data, that has been generated on the internet. So it's what it's doing is synthesizing it. It's putting a meaning to it. This chunk of data that lives on their individual lives, and it's making sense of it, processing it at the fastest speed you could ever think of. And then when you just type something, it's just quickly. If you have to go back to the background and look at what the engine has done to bring that information to you, you could see almost 10 million data sources that the machine had just had to go through to come up with that result. So we cannot delete the place of history. So on individual level, you see that there in our society we are seeing more and more with people forgetting what others has done for them. You did something good for people, they delete it, and then when something happen right now, they concentrate only on that. They like, so you may be somebody who has been good and for some reason, things got bad with you and you're not able to reach out the way you used to reach out, and then something happens, you're not able to intervene, and then they treat you like you never existed. You were never of any good. You were this evil person that existed somewhere that they don't even know. So people, there is this, I don't know if we call it selective um, forgetfulness or selective neglect. I don't know what it is, but there is this pattern on individual level. It's happening. So you go to somebody and suddenly, something just happened now. Maybe things changed, and suddenly the person do not recognize or remember or recollect that you were ever good to them. So they treat you like one enemy from their ancestors that has come to haunt them, and you have to be destroyed immediately. And then they forget it's like every part of our society on the individual level, like it is showing up in the churches and the government, wherever you place your hand upon, you see it being repeated. There are just very few instances where people go back and say, "Oh my God, when I was, like this guy helped me this way, or when I was this guy, there has been a time when this guy reached out to me, or there has been a time people have been good to you in the first place." Some persons they just delete that. Even in church, like even when we go to church, people delete the fact that there has been time God has intervened for them, and they just delete that, and then we just even focus more on what we are looking for, what we want God to do for us now, on the immediate environment. So it's really affecting every part of our life. And in the global stage, it is still the same thing. It is still the same thing. Even in Nigeria, the governments that we have, that's why I say we grow retrogressively, because our past seems to be way more better, because there are policies and all that worked in the past, but now we are searching for policies. So we just keep jumping into whatever other countries has been doing for 250 years and been improving on it. Countries came up with something, they improved on it for over 250 years, and they are now in a stage where they have perfected that practice very well. And we are just cherry picking and jumping into that stage without no learning process, nothing. We just forget about where we are coming from, what we could have learned from our mistakes and correct them and improve upon it. We just delete it at the government level. And so we see this cycle go round. In fact, there is nowhere it is more obvious, especially when it comes to the Ukraine conflict. Like, when you listen to literally all the news, mainstream media, all they keep saying is just about what happened in 2022. Like, what happened before then? If you go back, you go through some of their professors, who have been in this case for the longest period of time, and they will tell you this is not a case of 2022. Like, you don't need to keep hitting on what happened in 2022 is a precursor of what had happened in the Cold War, the result of the outcome of the Cold War, some decisions that were not concluded or changes that was not made, and then it created a hole, and that hole of confusion led to what happened in 2014, and then 2014 now led to what happened in 2022. But people there's this desire to just delete the historical past and just focus on what is happening right now, where we are now. And from both the individual level to the global stage, like, it's the same thing. Are we deleting history? Is there something wrong? Like, how do people just delete history? The town I come from, like, they just delete our there's this other side, that ethnic group, that just concludes that we are from the same ethnic group. Their basis for that is language. So they just delete every other history that has to do with how did this place come to the point of speaking this language. It's just like how did California become the largest Spanish speaking population in the US. There is a history attached to it, but somehow people just delete the history and just make analysis. The analysts are the worst. You go to a mainstream media and you see analysts talk with so much what they are exposed to, and you begin to ask, what if you want to speak as an analyst, you must come from a background. You should have been able to know what the past is. The same with the insecurity situation. Some people talk about it with so much vigor. In my country, Nigeria, we have an insecurity issue, but it is not. There is no way you will make sense of the insecurity issue in Nigeria if you don't go back to the historical lane. And if you don't go back to that historical lane, you won't be able to prevent subsequent form of this insecurity that may arise, so that you can deal with it at the root and resolve it, and make sure that you put things in place to prevent similar things from happening. So you just don't delete that, and then you just focus on each of the presidency that comes, and then you put the entire blame on that one person. And then the structural issue that is resulting to these insecurities are not dealt with, because these ones are existing. I mean, the police is lacking they are still lacking manpower. It is a historical thing. It's not a one-time thing. So just focusing on, there is kidnapping now. Let's, you do this one, but you deal with where this is. I think we must get to a point where we do not forget what has happened before. We must not leave that pattern, ignore, delete it. when trying to resolve a problem, because we may just be dealing with only the symptom of the sickness without dealing with the cause of this, with the real cause of the disease itself. We're just dealing with the symptoms of the disease. The person is having fever, he's drinking paracetamol, he's having headache, he's drinking, paracetamol or Bosca or whatever it is, just to calm those headache. But those headache came from somewhere. It may be a reaction, a symptom of malaria, but you're not treating that malaria itself. You're just treating the symptom of the malaria, and then you keep moving in cycles. I think we must learn how to put our histories in our mind. If somebody has been good to you before, don't delete it. Speak to that person with an understanding that if something happened today, handle that person with the fact that you don't forget what the person did. The same thing when we go to God. We must come to the acknowledgement of the times that God has intervened and showed himself strong in our lives. And then it changes how we do our prayers and how we speak to him, while we also focus in the present and not just, sleep in the past, but use the information from the past to make a better decision now. Thank you so much. Sorry if I bore you, but I would just like to hear your thoughts about this and your experience, where people have, deleted the history you have with them, or ignored all that and then just focused mainly on the now. Thank you.